So the last 150 years have been really brutal, and I wanted to talk about these things in a very direct way.
Indigenous artist Kent Monkman is confronting Canada's 150th anniversary head-on with his art. In 1867, 3 British colonies merged into one called Canada, still then a colony but unified. That's what's marked here every year on July 1st. To Aboriginal people like Monkman, whose Cree First Nation ancestors were here long before European colonizers, that's not much to celebrate.
This has probably been the worst period for Indigenous people. It's this period of modernity. So it's been about erasure, it's been about colonization, it's been about institutionalizing Indigenous people, it's been about the forced signing of the treaties.
History paintings, Monkman calls his works. They mix the style of European colonial-era painting with fierce contemporary Indigenous politics. They're touring the country now as part of a show called Shame and Prejudice.
These histories, these things that happened to Indigenous people were never painted. I mean, there's a reason why they were never painted, because it was not the story that the European settlers wanted to tell.
Canada, I can cite for you 150 lists of the dead.
Other artists and activists have founded a movement called Resistance 150. They're trying to remind Canadians celebrating on July 1st that while Canada itself has prospered, those who've been here longest are among the poorest, least healthy citizens of a rich country.
Increasingly confident in their culture and growing community solidarity, Indigenous artists are using the country's 150th anniversary celebrations to push an agenda that's effectively the opposite of what's being observed.
This is the first time that so many Indigenous voices have used the occasion of Canada Day to make such powerful points about the darker chapters of the country's history. People appear to be listening. The federal government, which funds the celebration, says it tries to make them as inclusive as possible.
We haven't really said, that isn't the way that you should talk about Canada 150. What it's really been is a chance for people to say, okay, we can explore that, and now let's look at that future forward, and can we all together make a better future?
As Canada turns 150, its Indigenous citizens want their suffering and setbacks acknowledged and their rights fully respected from now on. Daniel Lack, Al Jazeera, Toronto.